for joining. This is the Devops mock interview day 97. We already completed 96 mock interviews. Okay,
Sir,
if you
your
want
voice
to
is
check,
not clear.
sorry,
Your voice is not clear, sir.
is it same for all?
I can hear you properly.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
Chetan, there is an issue from your side.
Yes, sir. I'll correct it.
Okay. Just a moment, I will be back. Okay, I am back. So, without wasting further, if you anyone want to introduce yourself, please go ahead and introduce yourself. Okay,
Uh, yeah, okay, Pawan, may I?
yes, go ahead.
So, hello, Pawan. I am Lakshman Rao. I am excited to here today. So, I have 5.5 year of experience in IT industries and with the 4.6 year experience in DevOps engineer. During this time, I have worked on the implement and sorry I have gained significant experience in building and maintaining robust cloud infrastructure on Azure. And my core skill is designing and implementing CI/CD pipeline using Azure DevOps CI/CD pipeline and containerizing with the Docker and orchestration with them the Kubernetes. Along with I have worked on the infra side also. So basically, I am also well versed in infrastructure automation using Terraform, and for monitoring and observability, I have worked on extensively with the Grafana, Prometheus, Loki, and Azure Monitor, enabling me to ensure system reliability and performance. And I am passionate about the streamlining development workflow and improving infrastructure efficiency. And I am looking forward to learning more about this opportunity. That's it, one.
Yeah, Lakshman, your introduction was not at all good. Okay, you are lagging a lot and there is no confidence, right? If I'm giving an interview, right? Yeah, hi, myself Joseph. I have over 7 years of experience in the IT industry with a strong foundation in Linux administration, cloud engineering, and DevOps practices. I started my career as a Linux administrator where I worked on right cloud automation mostly, right, like writing shell scripting and all. Then after a 1 year, I got a good skill on Linux. Then I got an opportunity to work on cloud technologies, mostly on different services in both AWS and Azure cloud. From the past 5 years, I am working as a DevOps engineer, including tools Git for source code management, for continuous integration delivery. I am using Jenkins for containerization, Docker, orchestrating via Kubernetes. I am also excellent in infrastructure provisioning via Terraform. And coming to configuration management, I have experience in Ansible. For monitoring, we are using Prometheus and Grafana. I have experience in AWS cloud as well. Coming to the services, I have expertise in sorry, I was expertise in EC2, S3, IAM, and some more services, VPC. All this. That's it for today. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm done myself. Okay, this is just I go on with the flow. I didn't even prepare.
Okay.
Yeah, Chetan.
Sir, yes, sir. Can I try?
Yeah, definitely go ahead.
Hi, my name is Chris Kumar, and I'm based out in Bangalore. I hold a bachelor degree in computer application, and having overall uh, 11 years of work experience, out of which 6.2 years I was specifically focused on to the DevOps. About my roles and responsibility, that includes like I was responsible for managing and improving cloud infrastructure. Primarily, I was using the AWS platform, and automating the tasks to ensure the systems were scalable, secure, and efficient. I use tools like Terraform for automating resources provisioning and Jenkins for building CI/CD pipelines, making the deployment process smoother and faster. Um, I worked extensively with the Docker and Kubernetes to containerize and orchestrate applications, ensuring they run consistently across environments and scaled as needed. Additionally, I was also setting up the monitoring and logging systems with Prometheus, Grafana, and ELK stack to track performance. I also troubleshoot the issues with the use of the tracking. Monitoring and logging tools, and optimize the system proactively. I also collaborated closely with development and operations team to ensure the seamless communication, tackle issues quickly, and maintain a focus on security, automation, and performance optimization in all the process acrossly. And related to my DevOps journey, I was working with various tools like tools and technologies that would include like Dockers, Kubernetes, Jenkins, Terraform, AWS such as EC2, S3, and IAM. Related to my uh, relatedly, I was also preparing the CI/CD practices by using Jenkins, GitHub Actions, and I've also utilized the monitoring and logging solutions with the platforms like Prometheus, Grafana, and ELK stacks. That's it pretty much about myself. And also, sir, I wanted to try talking about my projects that I worked on during my journey. Will that be fine with you at this point?
Sorry, come again.
No, I just wanted to explain about my project because you had explained about the projects and all, right? So I prepared a script on that. So is that okay if I explain about the
Definitely go ahead.
Okay. In my previous company, my journey was about 4.5 years. During the time period, I was working for the client called PHH, and the project was related to the automating the deployment pipelines for web applications. In one of my project, the key aspects is to design and implement and automate automated CI/CD pipeline for web application to streamline the deployment and increase the release frequencies. I use Jenkins and GitHub to set the pipeline, containerize the application with Docker for consistency, and provision scalable, and AWS infrastructure using the Terraform, automated testing and deployment stages, reducing the manual efforts, while monitoring with Prometheus and Grafana ensured the optimal performance post the deployment. Um, the project significantly reduced the deployment time by 70% and improved the collaboration between the teams, leading more stable and efficient releases. Um, that's it pretty much. How was it?
I will review it, Chetan.
Okay, sir.
Okay, I will rewatch it once again.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will check. I will check the points which you have mentioned.
Okay, sir.
Okay, right away I will. If I give the feedback right,
Yeah.
it might be wrong.
Okay,
Okay,
sir.
let me review it. What are the points you have mentioned? If there is any points need to highlight, if
Yeah.
everything is okay right now, but
Okay.
still I will review it
Okay, sir.
and I will update.
Okay. So, how about this self introduction? Was that good or
It is excellent.
need to be? Okay, sir. Yeah.
But one thing you have repeated at the
Yeah,
end
I
again.
repeated the monitoring portion. I I realized, but I was not able to avoid that because the tools that I wanted to cover up, right? So I was just thinking about that aspects, and I just continued repeating the same thing. Yeah,
Okay,
I will avoid that in the next portion.
okay. Yeah, Arun, you want to introduce yourself?
Not today, Pavan.
Super, no issues.
Thank
So
you.
before continuing today's mock, right, I just want to update that is from March 17th, that is Monday. I'm starting a new batch. So if anyone watching this video on YouTube, right, if any of your friends or colleagues, if they are looking for DevOps training, so this is the wonderful opportunity. This is the DevOps batch number 2. Okay, I will start from Git. So that is from 17th March. Okay, this is the Git class calendar. Like this, we have Jenkins class calendar, Terraform class calendar, Ansible class calendar, Docker, Kubernetes, right, project along with monitoring. So if you start from March 17th, it will be ended by 17th May. So mostly it will be 2.5 2 months. In 2 months, you will be a job ready with DevOps. In between, we will be having a holidays. So classes will be from Monday to Friday. Okay, and Saturdays and Sunday will be you will be having a holiday, but Saturday and Sundays we will have mock interviews. So whatever we have discussed, I will raise the questions for that. You need to answer, and the class timing will be from morning 7 a.m. Indian time, which is IST. Okay, it will be 1 hour, daily 1 hour. Okay, in Indian time 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. daily 1 hour you will be having a classes. So it will be applied for all. Okay, if you want, you can ping me in WhatsApp. So let's continue the mock interview. So the first question will be your application running inside a Docker container is crashing repeatedly. So how would you debug and resolve this? Your application running inside a Docker container is crashing repeatedly. How would you debug and resolve this?
May I try?
Yes.
So first of all, we will check the logs of the Docker container through the Docker logs container ID, and then we will inspect the container also, and so two way we can check the debugs. Apart from, I will exec the container also. So this way.
Yeah, sir. Adding to the point, we will look into the logs, and this back off will happen because of the back off image error, where the version number could be incorrectly updated in the YAML file or in the manifest file. So what we do is we have to look into the official image and the version number that goes well, and then we correct that, and we try to run the Docker container again.
We are not discussing about Kubernetes. It's a Docker container.
Okay.
So Lakshman, whatever you have highlighted, it was exactly right. So Arun, you want to add point?
So we also check for the base image and dependencies.
You are saying the same as
Mm.
Chetan mentioned. No.
Okay, sir.
A containerized application works on your local machine but fails in production. How do you troubleshoot this? A containerized application works on your local machine but fails in production. How do you troubleshoot this?
I think my previous answer uh, will suit for
Super.
this. We have to check
Yes,
for
yes.
the
You can
Mm.
base
repeat.
image and
You should not
Yeah.
mention my
dependence.
previous answer. You need to
Yeah, sure.
mention the point.
Dependencies and environment variables.
Lakshman, you want to add?
Yes, so there we will check the Docker file configuration also, and okay.
So Lakshman has clearly mentioned he will update the configuration inside the Docker file. So like this, you
Yes.
need to mention the point so that I will not going to ask. I will get a confidence. Okay, he know something about it. So you can add some more points as well, Lakshman. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Adding on to Lakshman's, we first have to check the system configuration that is being requested in the YAML file. Is it matching with the running container that is already working? And if anything incorrect in the configuration level, then we have to upgrade that in the YAML file or the manifest file, and we have to rerun the container.
Okay, you are mentioning every time YAML file. Okay, we are discussing about a Docker. So in Docker there will
Oh,
be no
Docker
YAML
file.
files.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm sorry. We have to correct the Docker file and update it, rerun the container again.
How do you optimize a Docker image for faster deployment? How do you optimize a Docker image for faster deployment?
Yeah, we can use the base
So
image of Alpine, and there are a few others in the market, but Alpine would do the best. So we can um, run the application on top of the Alpine image as a base image, so we can optimize in this case.
Okay, Chetan, you are right. Anyone want to add some more points? Go ahead.
yes, we use
Yeah.
multi-stage build, and also we minimize the layers by combining the run commands, and also we can add a ignore to avoid the unnecessary files.
Good.
Okay, Arun, exactly, you are right. Lakshman, you want to add
Yeah,
anything?
actually, I'm agree with Arun and Chetan, but yeah, so I will reduce the image size first of all, so we can reduce through the Alpine and multi-stage. So this way we can go to the faster and deployment.
Okay. So I hope this mock interviews was helping you and it is boosting your confidence, yes or no?
Yes, yes,
Definitely, sir. Yeah, we
definitely.
get
Yeah.
the exposure and we are getting ready for the live interviews.
Okay. Your application requires persistent data, but data is lost after restarting the container. How do you fix this? Your application
Uh,
requires persistent data, but data is lost after restarting the container. How do you fix this?
Actually, we will use to the persistence value, volume and persistence volume claim for this.
Super.
Actually,
In the
yeah.
point of Docker,
Uh, in the point of Docker, we will use to the volume and for the piece of storage.
yes, you are right. Chetan, you want to add something? You can elaborate.
Yeah, in this case, we it is better to always use the external resource for the storage like S3 bucket. So even the container
No,
goes
we are
down.
discussing, you are every time going to Kubernetes,
Oh, okay.
but we
So
are discussing Docker.
In Dockers, we can use persistent claim to
No,
retrieve the
Docker,
data.
we don't have any persistent claim. Lakshman, you continue. How you will
Uh,
persist the data via Docker?
so there we will configure to the volume for store the containers data.
Okay, how you will
When we will,
configure?
uh, sorry, Pawan, I'm not sure actually.
Okay, Arun, I want to
Yes,
preserve the
first of
data,
all,
persist the data inside a container.
yes, in this case, I think we have used the volume type TMPFS. So that is why after restarting, we are losing the data. So in this case, we use the volume and the bind mounts.
Super. Okay, how you will use
We
that?
create volume using a Docker create volume name, and then we
Yes, yes,
while
yes.
running the container, Docker run -v, and we add the target and source.
Super. So this is what I've expected. So I hope Chetan you got it.
Yes, sir. Got it.
So
You
is
are
it the root cause? Like we are losing it because the volume type used in this case is
no,
TMPFS?
no,
Yeah.
Okay,
not that.
okay,
I just want to preserve the data. For that, I want a answer.
got
Okay,
it.
I will
Oh,
use a bind mount or
Mm.
volume. So
But
your
just a
contents app,
clarification. So if we use that TMPFS, that's a temporary file system that will uh, temporarily save the data. If the machine get restarted, you will lose the data, right?
yeah,
That's the nature of that TMPFS.
yes.
Okay,
Here, I'm not talking about the machine. I'm talking about
okay.
the container.
Container. Oh,
Yeah.
got it. Thanks.
So your contest application cannot connect to an external database. What steps do you take? Your contest application cannot able to communicate with the database.
We check the environment variables, or usually we use it the database URL in the config maps. So we check if we refer to the right config maps and keys.
we will check for the communication or what kind of network it is being used, and we will first ping and check for the external communication. Then, what is the network that is being used, first of all? So, depending on the network, we can create our own network. If the network connectivity issues is there, then we can communicate with the external uh, container.
Lakshman, you want to add?
Yeah. Actually, we will create to the Docker network, and there we will connect Docker network bridge. We will create one of them, and so we will check the configure of the network policy. Sorry, network bridge of the Docker.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
actually, otherwise I can check the Docker file configuration and there check the expose port also. May right?
So in this case, I think they by default it is being used the host network where the external communication cannot be done. So in this case, we can use our own network for the external communication.
okay. So let's check the answer. You are almost right, but still, let's. So for exposing the application, right, we will use like as Lakshman mentioned, for exposing, we will use, okay, but you
Okay,
have mentioned, right, you will use,
network, our own network. Okay, so we use the bridge network to communicate with the external database.
okay, next question will be your application running in Docker needs SSL by TLS security. So how would you implement it? Your application running in Docker needs an SSL by TLS security. So how would you implement it? So how do you scale a Dockerized application to handle high traffic? How do you scale a Dockerized application to handle a high traffic?
By using Docker Swarm multi-stage.
No, you should answer immediately, okay?
Oh, okay, sir.
I have given too much of time, now you are answering. How do you scale, sorry, secure Docker containers? How do you secure Docker containers? How do you monitor Docker containers in real time?
We can use
We check Docker events.
A service in Docker Compose cannot reach another service by host name. How do you fix it? A service in Docker Compose cannot reach another service by host name.
We check and ensure both the service in the same network. Otherwise, we create a new network and connect to the
Super.
containers.
Your Kubernetes pod is in crash loopback off state. How do you troubleshoot? Your Kubernetes pod
We
is
check
in.
the events in kubectl describe pod name to see what's happening in it. So, possibly it is due to missing misconfigurations.
Which configurations?
Environment variables.
So why container will went into the crash loopback off? Reason behind it.
It is uh, possibly because unable to pull the image.
There could be many reasons beyond behind this back of loop. For that, we have to check the error code that is described on the uh, pod describe
I'm
kubectl.
not asking you the error. Why pod will went into a right class loopback off state? Why?
Why? Okay.
Because of that error only it will go into the crash loopback off. But
Yes.
why it is in crash loopback off state? What exactly happened?
The container failing again and repeatedly.
Yes,
That is why.
yes, you are right. I'm expected this one. If container restarts continuously, then it will went into a state of crash loopback off. For restarting the container, yeah, definitely there will be multiple reasons, as Chetan mentioned. But what is crash loopback off? Restarting of container multiple times. So how do you expose a Kubernetes service externally?
By using externally. Okay. Overlay network.
Node port, load balancer, and ingress. Node port is
Node port,
to expose it.
cluster IP, node port, and load balancer. We also have ingress controller to expose your deployment to the outside externally.
I think Chetan, cluster IP will not uh, come into picture when we expose the Kubernetes externally.
Oh, externally, yeah, yeah, correct.
Okay.
That is only for the clusters inside the
Yes.
cluster communications. Okay.
So load balancer for using the cloud environments.
Yes. Your Kubernetes pod cannot access an external database. What do you check? Your Kubernetes pod cannot access an external database. How do you enable auto scaling for Kubernetes pods? How do you
Using
enable auto scaling?
HPA and horizontal and vertical pod auto scaling. HPA scales the pods using metrics like CPU, memory, and other custom metrics.
Okay,
And the VPA scales the pods using a resource limit.
okay. Chetan?
Um, yes, we can use the HPA and VPA services for auto scaling. So based on the traffic, it will scale auto scale the requirement and provide the necessity usage for it.
Final question for today. How do you implement zero downtime deployment in Kubernetes?
For zero downtime, we
using
have the
rolling
strategies
update.
rolling update and recreate. Recreate nobody uses, but we use the rolling update.
Okay,
Uh,
let's check the answers. Still, if anyone watching this video on YouTube, go ahead and like this video. And one more thing, I'm starting a new batch from next Monday, that is from 17th March, daily 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. IST, 1 hour. If anyone want, you can enroll. So the first question, your application running inside a Docker container is crashing repeatedly. How would you debug and resolve this? The approach will be check logs, Docker logs container ready, inspect the container, Docker ps -a, okay, and then you can inspect the Docker inspect container ID. So use interactive mode, nothing but you can log in inside the container. So verify environmental variable, Docker inspect container ID. Look for resource constraint, Docker stats, so that it will show how much CPU and memory utilizing of the containers. So like these are the methods and approach you will follow, okay, to check the issue. A containers application works on your local machine but fails in production. How do you troubleshoot this? So check for missing dependencies, verify base image and dependencies in Docker file. Use Docker inspect to compare environments. Ensure correct ports are right exposed using Docker network ls and Docker ps. Ensure correct file permissions and paths. How do you optimize a Docker image for faster deployment? Use smaller base images like Alpine. Use multi-stage builds. Avoid copy. Okay. Instead, copy only required files. Reduce image layers by combining run commands. Use docker ignore to exclude unnecessary files. Your application requires persistent data, but data is lost after restarting the container. How do you fix this? Use Docker volumes. Docker volume create a volume name and Docker run -d -v your volume name and map the data which you want to preserve inside a container. Or bind mode, nothing but you can use the local path as a directory as a volume to your inside the container. Your container application cannot connect to an external database. What steps do you take? So ensure the database host name is correct. Verify Docker network inspect. Test connectivity. Okay, use manage network option in Docker run. Your application running in Docker needs SSL by TLS security. How would you implement it? So use certificates inside Docker container with a reverse proxy like Nginx. This is the Nginx configuration file. Server listen 443 SSL and the certificate paths. So mount the certificate as a volume. How do you scale a Dockerized application to handle high traffic? You can use Docker Swarm, Docker Service Create, or you can use a deployment in Kubernetes. How do you secure Docker containers? Use non-root user in Docker file, nothing but don't use root user. Use a specified users. Okay. Scan images for vulnerabilities. Ensure enable resource limits. Okay. And rest container privileged. How do you monitor Docker containers in real time? So Docker stats for resource usage, Docker logs -f for logs, use Prometheus and Grafana for metrics, use ELK stack for centralized logging. A service in Docker Compose cannot reach another service by host name. Ensure both services are in the same Docker network. Check if the host name matches the service name in Docker Compose.yml file. Use ping service name inside the container. So your Kubernetes pod in crash backup state or troubleshoot, check logs, describe the pod, verify resource limit, check the init containers and the probes. How would you expose a Kubernetes service externally? You can use a node port or load balancer or ingress controller. Your Kubernetes pod cannot access an external database. What do you check? So kubectl get svc to ensure correct DNS, verify pod's network policy. So use kubectl exec to test the connectivity. So how do you enable auto scaling for Kubernetes pod? So use horizontal pod autoscaler as you mentioned, or you can define the YAML form file as well. So how to implement zero downtime deployment? So that is a rolling update. So to roll back, roll out. So the summary will be, what is the Docker used for debugging, networking, security, partial storage, scaling, and the CI/CD, Kubernetes, auto scaling, networking, service discovery, deployments, monitoring. That's it for today. So anyone watching this video on YouTube, please like this video, and let's meet again on the next mock interview. Right, if I get a majority of likes, then only we will continue this mock interviews. And if you want any type of training, you can pay me. I will stop the recording.